10, I'd probably just use 5. I have only a couple of points to bring forward. Again, Minister, thank you very much for bringing forward this bill. This is very welcome as part of Fine Gael policy. When we stood in the general election, it was something I stood in the doorsteps to, and in particular in my area where we would have had serious issue with regard to clamping, particularly in private car parks. I'm all in favour of getting car parking space, particularly on main streets, being turned over on a rapid basis, because that's what the traders within towns want. However, I do have a real problem with regard to the clampers in private car parking. And it's something that I know myself have experienced on a number of occasions. As Deputy Hayden said before, there's a variety of release charges, and I'm delighted the fact that we're able to make a decision on the maximum release charge there should be. However, it's again in regard to private car parkers. And I would like to encourage the Minister, whatever way you can possibly do it, is to encourage private car parking facilities to go to the barrier method. This is not on social policy, it's more on car policy nowadays. But I would encourage, if possible, where possible, private car parks would go to the method whereby people pay for the length of time that they're there. The key thing, as far as I've seen, particularly as I say in my town Naas, is that people go in and want to shop and they want to spend the money in the town. They're maybe distracted from rushing out to pay for their car fee. They're buying a piece of article of clothing that sometimes they've tried on 4 or 5 and they forget that the time is up. And they go back out to find that they've been clamped. And as a result of that, they will talk to other people and say, why should I go into this town? Because every time I go in there, I'm clamped. I'm under pressure to do the shopping. So I would look at and ask you to see whatever method you could do to encourage more of the private operators to go to a method where people pay for the time that they're going to be, that they actually are in the car park. Maybe a couple of ideas would be rates. The rates that these guys pay, if you have a clamping car park, you pay a higher rate, meaning to the local authority, than if you have a barrier type method. You pay a lower. Another one would be maybe you could give tax breaks to people in some way or other who have the barrier type car parking rather than the clamping type parking. So to encourage those people back into the barrier, so a person then is not under pressure to leave the shop to rush back. I also, probably in my area too, we have a good deal of out-of-town shopping. And it discourages people from coming into the centre of towns. And Deputy Hayden mentioned with regard to on the planning side, I've always looked, is there possibility of increasing a local rate so it goes back into the town on those out-of-town shopping units that provide free parking? Because it discourages people from actually going into the centre of town. So, Minister, there are 2 ideas I put forward to you. I hope you might take them on board, just to encourage more barrier-type parking in private car parks facilities within towns, so as that people can actually be able to spend their money not on getting themselves released, but in the traders that are within the town. As I said, I've welcomed this bill. I'm encouraging it to look at other angles, as what I've said earlier on, and I think it's important that the public out there understand that if wherever they're going to be clamped, that it's consistent across the whole country and it's fair and equitable. So I would be supporting this bill. As I said earlier on, I would encourage Minister to have a look at the barrier side of parking, if you could encourage it much more. Thank you.